I'm a columnist based in North Carolina in the Smoky Mountains, so I am pretty used to working on a deadline, and I found that to be really helpful when trying to put a book together. I hadn't done that before. I devote my mornings to writing, and then in the afternoon I have two small children, so the rest of my time is taken up. But I find that if I don't really hold that writing time sacred, then it too easily slips away from me. When I was writing this book, I, for the most part, composed it on the computer, but keep in mind that when a writer writes a book, you're really rewriting a book. You start with your idea, you rough it out, and then the rest of your time, the vast majority of my time anyway, was spent on refining that and really making sure that I was able to walk my readers through something that at times was fairly complex, but I needed to sort of lead them from point to point in a way that would keep their attention. I found it very helpful to write at our local coffee shop here as I was writing this book, in part because at times it was a very emotional book to write. And by leaving my house and going into a public location, I found that I was able to leave Angela the daughter, Angela the stepdaughter at home, and take Angela the writer out to coffee and a few hours of writing. I think writing in public helped me because you can't break down in public. I mean, there were parts of this book that were exceptionally difficult to write and to share with other people, although I felt like it was a story that needed to be told. But by being in public, I was really able to focus on the task at hand and getting that done. My background is in literature primarily. I have my master's degree, I finished coursework toward my doctorate, and I was teaching at universities as I was working toward those degrees. What I taught was freshman literature, but I also taught a lot of writing courses, and I so enjoyed that. I sort of fell into my columnist job because my friend was the editor for a local arts and entertainment magazine, and I'm not very good at telling somebody no when they keep asking and asking and asking. So I am so grateful that I caved in on that and started writing more regularly. It can be very isolating to write. I think authors often go into seclusion while they're working on their book or whatever their project is. And for me, I definitely did that. In a way, it was because I was having to process so much about these revelations about my father. In another way, though, I also found that I was very aware of how much I was talking about the book. And I remembered when I first had my daughter, she's my older child, and I gradually became aware that every conversation that I was having was about my daughter, and would start editing myself. I'd be in the middle of talking to somebody at the grocery store and I'd think, okay, now stop talking about your daughter. You can say a little bit, but don't run off at the mouth about it. And this book was very much like going through labor. I mean, it was exhilarating and painful and so worth it. But I also didn't want to talk about my baby all the time. So even after I came out of seclusion, I really wanted to sort of keep things under wrap, especially because it takes so long for a book to come out. You know, I started this project about 3 years ago, and we're just now nearing release date. So that's a huge gestation period. But, you know, again, I can't emphasize enough how much I was honored to write this project, and it's been so worth it. So worth it.